everyone, and welcome back. I know it has been a minute since we have done a Sustainability Sunday video. It was almost an even longer minute. I've had a lot of power outages recently, like so much rain. But today we are getting back into it, not with our usual moving around the house. Instead today I want to talk about my favorite things to thrift that are not pieces of clothing. So every time I go to the thrift store, these are the places that I will look that are not clothing. And like we always say on this channel and just in general in like the eco living sustainable lifestyle community, you hear a lot about how buying secondhand is the most sustainable thing that you can do other than using what you already have. And of course that's very true, and that's why I wanted to make this video to kind of get you thinking about different things that you can buy secondhand, because I think that sometimes we kind of get boxed in and feel a little bit limited with what we actually can buy secondhand, because we can really buy anything used. It is not just limited to clothing. And I also wanted to make this video to just really kind of, I don't know, talk more about and create more space in the buying used, I don't know, community. Like I feel like sometimes there's almost a negative, like, I don't know, stigma with buying secondhand. Like it means that you can't afford to buy things new, or I don't know, just things like that. And I don't think that there's ever any shame in buying secondhand, like especially not if you're doing it, I mean really at all in general, but especially not if you're doing it for reasons of sustainability. So I just want to, like, I don't know, normalize it more. Like anybody can buy secondhand and it doesn't mean anything bad or negative about you. And I also wanted to bring it up because on the other like side of that same coin, there are, I think, people who think that it's wrong for people to buy secondhand if they can afford to maybe, or you know, have a different situation that allows them to buy things new more easily than maybe some other people, which I totally agree. Like I understand with what they're saying. Like if people who can afford to buy new go and buy secondhand, then it's taking like this idea that secondhand is only meant for people in a lower like financial situation, which just isn't the case. And then I think that helps play into that stigma where it's like poor people are buying secondhand, which is just not true. Anybody can buy secondhand. I think that there can become a problem if people are buying secondhand the way that they buy fast fashion and other things like that, like constantly buying and getting rid of it. I think that is a problem, but that's not what I'm talking about, and that's not what I'm suggesting you do. So when I decide that I like need something or I need to purchase something, buying secondhand is just kind of one step along that process. So for example, I try to consider what I already have, if I really need to buy something or if I can make do with what I have. And then you start to consider secondhand as an option. But anyway, let's just talk about the stuff that I have on this list of everything that I love to thrift that is not clothing. So I'm just going to kind of work through my list in the way that the thrift store I go to the most often is is laid out, like the way it's set up in the store, because that's just going to make more sense for my brain. So the first thing I always do every time that I go into the thrift store, really this is the reason I go to the thrift store, is to look at books. Books for myself too, but mostly children's books. You've probably noticed on this channel I have a whole playlist that is just children book readings, and I'm also a preschool teacher, so I am constantly looking there for books that I can read on the channel, but also books that I can bring into the classroom. And I cannot stress enough how perfect a thrift store is for children's books. Like there are so many. Sometimes I go like once a week, and every time there are new children's books, and they are like very nice children's books. They have so many classics, but they also have so many new popular ones like Pete the Cat, like all the Mo Willems books, just so many things like that. If you don't know children's books, the things that I just said will mean nothing to you, but if you know, you know. But they always have them. They have very popular books, classic books, like everything. and they are just so much cheaper. I mean, I don't think I spend more than $1 on a children's book anytime that I ever go, and a lot of these books, if you buy them new, like over $20. So of course you can also look for books for yourself too. So many books, I think like 95% of the books that are on my bookshelf that I read are also from the thrift store. Okay, and then just kind of like moving on through my thrift store that you have no idea what it looks like, but I usually skip the clothes unless there's something specific that I am looking for, and again, we're not talking about clothes on this list anyway, so I walk past the clothes and then I kind of go into the, I don't know, the more home section. I generally don't go into this section either unless there is some specific home item that I am looking for. However, my exception here is that I love to see what they have for mugs. Generally near where the mugs are, this is where I will also look at the baskets. I try not to go to the baskets too much because I will definitely end up getting a basket that I just don't need if I'm not careful. So I don't go to the baskets every time, but if I need a basket or any sort of storage container, I like to use them for trash cans around the house too. I go to the baskets. I have like, this is a basket just like in my sight that I got at a thrift store that I love, and this one I just use as a little wastebasket in the bedroom. Now, sticking with kind of like the home stuff in a way, there are three more things I have on here that I always look at. One are picture frames. You can get such nice picture frames at the thrift store for so cheap. Like, I think like I said with the books on the bookshelf, like 90% of the frames that I have in this house, I actually got at the thrift store, and I was going to use the frame and like maybe do something else with this, but I ended up just liking it, so I kept it as is. But like, this is a nice wood frame, like so many options there. I also will look at the picture frames whenever I'm doing gifts. I haven't done a budget saving video, wedding saving video yet. That is in the works. However, one thing that I have on there that I'm going to talk about are like wedding picture gifts. After we got married, my husband and I gave the wedding photos, a lot of the ones that we took away as gifts for like Christmas and stuff, and every single one I got a frame at the thrift store for. So I saved so much money that way, saved so much like demand from producing a demand to put more frames out into the world. So just such a good option, and like perfect for if you need stuff around, if you need frames for around your home as well. So the other two for things around the house, one are sheets and bedding. I will say, I guess you could say in general, like linens, like blankets, sheets, pillowcases, towels, anything like that. I see at the thrift store a lot. I've bought sheets at the thrift store because it's just something that I tend to look for and things that I've needed in the past. I haven't really needed towels or anything like that, but towels would be another really great thing to look for there. But I also really like looking at the thrift store for sheets and stuff because you can find just like really cool sets, kind of like with the mug sets that I feel like you don't see a lot. Like maybe they were really popular a few years ago or something, and then like with everything there's so many trends that come and go. So I find that thrift stores are another really good place to look. If you are trying, like, I don't really try to keep up the trends or anything. I don't really care. I just do what I like. I suggest you do the same too. However, if you are looking to keep up the trends or anything like that, thrift stores are great places because trends come and go, of course. So there will be sets there of sheets, for example, that were like trendy years ago that people got rid of because they don't want them anymore, and like then they become popular again. But I say that because one example that I think of, there was like, I don't know, maybe a year ago or something, floral sheets were so trendy and popular. Like I was seeing so many people go out of their way to like go buy brand new sets of floral sheets, and then I just happened to be at the thrift store and looking at the sheets, and I found like the coolest set of floral sheets, and I just like couldn't help but think like how silly it was that so many people are going out of their way to go look for them and buy them new when it's it's already at stores because it was a popular item in years past. And then the last thing that I have on this list as far as like home stuff goes are candles. I don't know if you have ever looked at the candle section at a thrift store, but I have found that there are so many candles there, scented or unscented, whatever, but so many candles that I'm assuming people bought and then didn't like the smell of it and then they donated it, because it is like a full candle that was like just barely burned, like hardly burned at all, and then you can buy it at the thrift store for like $1. And then the last thing that I have on this list that I always tend to look at whenever I go to the thrift store is there's like one of the thrift stores I go to a lot, not both of them, but one of them always has like a little stationery type section where they just have like binders, notebooks, paper, like pads of paper, things like that. And all of it is unused. Especially, I always see people will buy like, you know, the packs of lined paper or something that's like a small like package wrapped in plastic type thing. I see those at the thrift store all the time. I don't know why. I don't know if people buy too much and then they just don't want it or whatever, but it's completely unused. It's fully packaged still, and it's just sitting at the thrift store for so cheap. I see this with binders. This journal little thing in here, I just like do some content planning. This I got at the thrift store for $8 and it was brand new, unused. Okay. And then I just have 3 honorable mentions here that I did not incorporate into the main list because they're not necessarily things that I look at every single time I go to the thrift store, but it is something that I look at often and I still think is worth mentioning on this video. And one is, sticking with like the home stuff a little bit longer, is just the furniture section in general. Buying furniture secondhand is such a sustainable option. Furniture is such a big thing, you know, and it's like most of it does not break down easily. So instead of creating a demand to make more huge pieces of things that are going to sit in the landfill forever, go check out furniture secondhand. There is so much good stuff out there, and I especially think that when it comes to pieces of like wood furniture, buying stuff that was built a little bit ago rather than buying stuff that was made maybe in the last like 5 to 10 years is going to be such better quality. I bought a desk at the thrift store for $3 that is such heavy solid wood. Like, it is a beautiful desk. I'll put a little clip in so you can see it. And all I did, I didn't even need to upgrade the handles. I just wanted to because I thought it would be like a fun project. I like didn't even need to do anything to it. I cleaned it. I kind of just sanded it down, put a fresh coat of stain on it, and then I put on fresh handles. And it is one of the best things I think I have ever bought at the thrift store. And it was so cheap, and it is in such good condition. It is solid wood. And my husband and I, when we bought this house 4 years ago, bought a new desk to put into our house, and we don't even have it anymore. Like, it broke within probably 6 months to a year of getting it, and I actually salvaged a lot of the wood. Like, this little shelf is from it, and I tried to make and like have projects around the house that I'm using it for because I felt so guilty about the fact that it broke so quickly and I didn't want to just like throw it away. So yeah, stuff was made better years ago, and you were going to find it at the thrift store for so cheap. The next thing that I like to look at a lot are records. So if you have a vinyl player or record player or whatever, thrift stores are such a great place to look for things like that. I probably don't even need to tell you that because you can find such like fun, vintage, antique, just like old music that is just fun, and it's a cool thing to listen to on your record player. And again, it's just one of those things where it's like, there's so much of it that already exists in the world. Why go buy more? Why put the demand out there to produce more when there's so much that already exists? And lastly, on my honorable mentions list, if you are somebody who does crafting or sewing or anything like that, knitting, crocheting, check out what your thrift stores have for fabric, yarn, things like that. I wish that I had brought all this stuff that I talked about over with me. I just didn't plan ahead that well. But I always see at my thrift stores like bags of unused yarn. And sure, like if you have a huge giant project that you want to do and you need like a ton of the same color. Probably not going to work for you, but I have found some really, really nice yarn at the thrift store for so cheap. Like a big bag of it with a bunch of different stuff. And I'm not talking about like odds and ends. It's like a full roll that you could definitely do something with for like $1, a couple dollars. And I also like roll, you know, yards of fabric that you could sew things with. I found a like beautiful, I'll put a clip in of it, huge, I don't even know how many yards, I didn't even measure it, this really, really beautiful thick vintage fabric from like, I think it was the 60s or something that it said, and it's in wonderful condition. I haven't done anything with it. I think I'm a little too scared, but it was so cheap. And just like with, you know, we've talked about fast fashion and stuff on this channel before and just, you know, sprinkled throughout, fabric and textile waste is such a huge problem for our planet. So it's just one of those things again where it's like, why make more of it? We have so much of it that already exists. We could probably use what we already have for like 100 years before we ever needed to, I don't know, like, there's just so much. Why do we need to make more? Okay. And that is all that I have for this video. I hope that despite my ramblings, it helped you get thinking a little bit more just about what you can actually go buy secondhand, because it is not limited to clothing, and so much of the stuff around your house can be filled with secondhand items very easily. You're going to save money. You're going to find things that have a little bit more personality and not just the same stuff that everyone's buying at Home Goods or Home whatever the you know, the big stores are. So I hope that this got you thinking, and that the next time you need to buy something or the next time you're driving by your thrift store, you will consider going there, because like I said, there is so much there that is not clothing. So I will see you all in the next video very soon.